just getting a call up and
I wasn't really in a position for that. Like Germany wanted me to play, Canada wanted me to play, Wales wanted me to play.
Could you have conceivably played for Germany?
No. My dad wouldn't. I mean, he wouldn't have cared because he would have been happy for me. But if I chose that, but what do you want to do when you're a young kid?
Yeah,
you want to make your dad proud, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because that's why you play. You know, in the end, yeah, as much as you're wearing an England shirt, your family's name's on that shirt. So for me, my dad used to say to me, I don't care how you play, just give it all you got. So whenever I used to play, I used to just think of that. So when the opportunity, like Canada, I always thought I'd play for Canada. But then back then it was different, like with the time differences, and I was coming away. I was in the first team trying to break in, and then to go play a camp in, you know, in North America, I might have lost momentum, get into the first team. And then in my first year, we won the league, Champions League, and all of a sudden everyone's like, "Who's this kid?" And everybody was like knocking on my door. But really, ultimately, all it came down to was, A, I wanted to play with the best players, and B, I just wanted to make my dad proud, and I wanted to. Even if I played one game for England, I would have been proud.
Do you remember the moment telling him that you were going to play for England?
Not really. I think he knew more than me. Like, I didn't know what I could achieve, but I think he did because he knew football. So I think growing up in the environment I did, I wasn't on the right, I wasn't on my thought process really. Like, I was going to school and working at McDonald's, playing on my basketball team, and obviously my football team was good too, but not Bayern Munich good. So it just wasn't. And then once I got into that space, and then I probably had like 4 or 5 hurdles in my career, like going to the Bayern Academy and then get into the first team, then playing internationally and stuff. Then I was like, every time. So what I used to do, I tried to make it as hard on myself as I possibly could, just to see, not if I could fail, but I hadn't stumbled yet. Do you know what I mean? And I wanted to see how far I could take it. So like everybody was like, "Oh, England, you'll be a one-cap wonder." I was like, "Cool, let's see." To see. And in the end, you know, you don't know until you get out there, and you got to believe in yourself, you know. So for me, I just tried to chip away and kind of, you know, just believe in yourself. None of these guys probably know any of this stuff because back then you would never make yourself vulnerable and tell anyone.
Yeah.
But
also, you'd had this experience in Germany where you'd been taught to be quite hard, I guess.
Yeah.
Was it the same when you joined England and how you sort of integrated with the team?
No, they were all mad friendly. I couldn't believe it because at Bayern, the older guys, you were getting smashed up. You know, honestly, that's just how it was. And then remember, I was in my first team. Like David Seaman was in there and Teddy Sheringham.
What was
they were N30. Do you know what I mean?
2004 your first or not?
My first? No, my first team was 2000. Germany away, 5-1.
Oh, you played in that?
Yeah, that was my first cap.
It's not a bad first cap.
So I started the World Cup 2002.
Yeah, wow.
That must have hit differently for you. That was your first cap. That
so how old are you then?
game.
Yeah, that got me dropped for a month. For real? For real. I came back. We won the League Champions League. Came back the next season, and I came into the team quite late, and I was still on like a U team contract at the time. So I remember the bonus was more than I earned for the winning. That was more than I earned the whole year. So anyway, I did a new contract. And then England called me up, and then we play in Munich. It was like September, and I came on for like the last 20 minutes. We won 5-1, which was like a national travesty for Germany. And literally up to that point, I thought, right, I want to play like every game. And up to that, the first 6 weeks, I played every game, played more minutes than anyone. And after I got dropped for a month, and they just said it's going too fast.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they wanted to kind of keep you grounded, maybe.
Because they were like...
Yeah. And also the fact you've just
that obviously
team,
didn't help.
Can't have helped, like,
that didn't help, but I remember time I couldn't get my head around. I was so annoyed because like 2 months before I helped, you win like the biggest thing you could win. But again, there's politics on every level, you know. And as a young kid, you also got to navigate all that and learn all that.
Yeah, but that's a mad conflict of interest. If you then come away from that feeling that playing well for the England national team could have any kind of bearing.
No, but again, also you got to remember, you know, and you still get this. Clubs don't talk about it, but if you get a kid coming through and he's flying, Max Alman's going to have it real quick. You know, you'll then all of a sudden you're on a contract that you're on, but then you outplay it like Jamal, and then you say, okay, well, say Crouchy plays ahead of me, but the manager's picking me now, even though I'm 19. Well, the simple thing is, whatever he earns, give me £1 more. right? Because if the manager you're paying to pick the team picks me ahead of him, then I don't think it's really that complicated. And then so if you get young kids all of a sudden taking these big steps, it messes with the financial side. And I think for clubs, you probably experience this, they're like, what do we got to do? So you try and slow it down a bit so you can...
Sort of back in a box. Kind
Yeah,
of
a little bit, yeah.
But like, I mean, we've skirted over the fact there. I mean, you're 20 years old, right? You're in a foreign country, one of the biggest clubs in the world. You win the Bundesliga and the Champions League. You're 20 years old, right? You start in the final.
Mad.
You'll have an incredible game. You're playing with these absolute legends. I mean, we were talking off air before. Michael Owen gave an interview recently about, and he was very honest and open. And I think sometimes it's nice that, like, for him, he's obviously reminding people actually, put some fucking respect on my name.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, do you feel like, you get enough respect in England for your achievements? You're the only Englishman to have won 2 Champions Leagues with 2 different teams.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what?
There's only 3 Englishmen that have won a Champions League abroad. Yourself, Steve McManaman and Jude Bellingham. These are things that, these are incredible stats.
Yeah, but you know what? I tend to be honest. I don't have any stuff in my house, memorabilia, no trophies.
Well, I know you because I know that.
No shirts, no medals, no. It's all in moving boxes in my office. So I didn't play for people's. What's the word? I just played to make my dad proud, really.
When Owen first, came to Man United, what were your genuine thoughts? Because here's a player, is an English player, but has come from a background in Germany. He's come from Bayern Munich. All of a sudden, he's in the Man United dressing room.
I just thought the guy knows how to win. He's been at Bayern and won everything, Champions League, leagues galore, and played with some of the best and against the best and controlled people. And he will bring a calmness and an element of control to our game in the biggest moments. Like, we were trying to win a Champions League, we couldn't. And there's no coincidence that when we do, he's one of the main players in the team as well. And I always say this to loads of my mates, we talk about great players and stuff, and I think O gets sometimes left out of the conversation, just unknowingly for some people, because like he was talking about, some of the traits that where he's super strengths are what sometimes are glossed over and they don't make the headlines. Whereas is being able to retrieve the ball, being able to cover big spaces. Like just that, being able to cover big spaces on a pitch when your team is spread out, bro, that's a hard job.
But you know what's amazing, right? I remember I played against Luis Figo in the Champions League semi-final. I think I was 19. I remember before the game, I thought, oh my word. I looked across, right, and I thought, I'm in trouble, yeah. He had the white kit on, his hair was slicked back. He looked like a guard, right?
Yeah.
There's me, little Canadian kid. And I looked up, I remember thinking, I'm in trouble, yeah. And I'll never forget it, right? He just laid the ball in front of me. Like after 10 minutes, I thought, you can't leave that there like that. And I nicked it off him, right? And sprinted by him. I never forget the look he gave me, like, whoa. Because he would have never known who I was, right? And it's amazing, when you get out on a football pitch, you look up to all these guys. But when you get out there, you got to get after it. And I used to think, you might be a better player than me. Technically a talent, but I can outplay you.
Yeah.
But I remember the one who did me, who I thought, when he shook his hand and said thank you for the lesson. Yeah. Clarence Seedorf.
Really?
What? Him and Rui Costa, that AC Milan team. As a young kid, you have a bit of success, and I was always super respectful. But you also got to believe in yourself. You got to give yourself confidence going into a game. I remember thinking, right, I'm going to get after these guys. But they sent me all over the place. Stop starting. I swear to you, I went up to them after the game. I said, "Thank you very much. Thank you for the lesson." And they were like this. It was amazing. But you know what? It's important to get humbled, because then you realize, okay, I got to go again.
Keep working.
Yeah.
And when he signed for United, right. It went round a training ground after we done testing. So we done testing, right?
I remember that.
His first days, yeah. And we all knew Owen from England and stuff, but all lot of other players didn't really have much idea of who he was. And we done the testing. I remember Wazza running into the change room or the gym and going, "No, this is wrong. It's wrong. Owen, how is Owen at the top of the charts with the sprints?"
So they did sprint tests. So they test you. They had lasers, right? Proper lasers.
Yeah.
So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I think they were up to 25. And I was always the fastest player on every team I ever played on, right? But it's weird because
we didn't know this.
Okay, no offense. I find that surprising.
Yeah. No, but that's why when Luis laid the ball there, historically that was probably okay for him.
Yeah.
But I was really explosive.
Yeah.
So if I play in there as a defensive midfield player, when you think you got time, I'm going to get it
He
off you.
gets to you quick, man.
Real quick. So, but none of the boys really knew that about me. So when we did the sprint testing, everybody was going mad, right?
No, Wazza was going, it's not right.
Cristiano, everybody's going, nah, I can't lose to him. Can't lose to him. Anderson,
Cristiano's going, oh, this is, what is this? Come on. It was funny, man. And
So you were the fastest player on the team.
Yeah.
That's quite a feat, to be fair.
Nobody believes me to this day, but that's cool. I don't mind.
So you could have played for Wales, could have played for Canada. Why did you choose the Three Lions? And what was your thought process by choosing the Three Lions? And also, you got a lot of stick for it. So how did you deal with that, the backlash that you got?
You know, I was a Canadian-born kid, but I grew up in a British home in Canada because of the influences, my dad and football and, you know, Sunday roasts and cups of teas. We just did it in a different postcode in Canada. So when I had the opportunity to represent England, you know, it was almost impossible to say no, you know, to play with guys like David Beckham and guys that I looked up to when I moved to Europe. It was a dream come true.
Your second cap is unique because it's the famous 5-1 against Germany, which is unique for you because it was in your home stadium.
Yeah.
So after that game, I want to talk about going back to training. Was you giving Oliver Kahn digs or?
Oh no, you didn't give Oliver Kahn digs.
Not at all.
No chance. He gave you one. That's for sure.
We've got some the tournaments you played in for England. We've got 2002 up until 2006 here. Just pick me through these ones and tell me what memories strike out to you.
That was probably the best England team I ever played on. Most
2004.
Talent. Yeah. Talent-wise, it was literally off the charts. That generation probably should have won something if maybe we would have got a few different things right. You know, back in the day, you played 4-4-2. Nowadays, probably with the way teams play, we're always trying to get Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard into one team. Paul Scholes somehow was playing left wing, one of the greatest players ever. So it was a shame, really. But the standard of training every day was amazing.
So do you feel like this tournament slipped away more than a 2006 tournament?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah, because we started to get, you know, towards the end. Like for me, this was, you know, a big tournament because it helped change people's opinions, really. And because it was in Germany as well. But then I think Wazza had the red card.
It's that infamous moment.
Yeah, so it was, you know, even if we would have got to the semis, which would have been in Munich against Zidane, and I remember that's why I was playing like a man possessed because I wanted to play against Zizou. I love Zidane, you know, as a player. And it was in Munich, and I just said, wow, this is, you know, we've got to get there. So we had one less, but we left it all out there, and shame really. But that team, because of, you know, the injuries and suspensions, that team was just stacked.
Yeah.
And we were, even if we would have got to semis, we were kind of running a bit on fumes.
But before that, we have to speak about something that has been discussed a lot in the media in the last little while. This, Sir Alex Ferguson's autobiography, in which he talks about Owen Hagreaves. Owen, not easy, but let me read out just a few of the lines that he wrote about you in the book. Owen had no confidence in himself whatsoever. I saw him opt for the easy choice in training. He was one of the most disappointing signings of my career. I think you're entitled to a right of reply.
Well, I mean, it's a complicated one. I think anybody that knows me knows that professionalism is probably one of my strongest traits. And I mean, a lot of people rung me this week were very surprised by what he said, myself included. I think he said a lot of things in there that were with emotion, and he was. I think he was very disappointed, obviously, the way things turned out. I think our first season we were very successful. The reason he brought me over was for me to help Manchester United win the Champions League, and we were able to do that, and I was able to play a big part, play 35 games, and after the treatment that I had in the summer, I virtually never played again. And I think for any young player to be 27, be in that point in your career, having so many highs, being central to Man United's plans and England's plans, and virtually never to play again, and then try and deal with all that was very, very difficult, and I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And at times, I think a lot of relationships break down in personal and professional relationships, break down in communication. And I think at times there was a little bit of miscommunication. There were so many people involved. And my only regret was that I didn't go to him sooner.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize the severity of the situation until it was a little bit too late.
Does it make it harder? Because, you know, you've said to me in the past, the reason why you went to Manchester United was to play with Sir Alex Ferguson. You know, he was the draw for you.
Well, I had a great time at Bayern Munich, and I had been very successful. But the only reason I left was to play for Manchester United. It was a privilege to play there, and like I said, I played 1 year. We won the league and Champions League, and the reason is because it was an honour to play under him. And for it to deteriorate like that was obviously very disappointing, and I think it's a conversation he and I need to have personally, because I think anybody that knows me and play with me knows that I always gave him my best. And like I said, I wouldn't wish that situation on anyone, because it was very difficult for me to accept that my career changed from 1 minute to the next, and then try and make the best of the situation.
Well, it changed your life, not just your career. Thank you for being so honest.